know I'm supposed to be greeting the listeners back from our long sojourn away, but I do enjoy bopping out to our theme tune.
Too long. The theme tune is too long. Anyway, more pressing matters at hand.
It's not long. It sits in the background, lovely. It gives like a little vibe to what we're doing.
Now. There's an explosion of fierce debate amongst the Christmas files.
Oh, straight to it. None of the pleasantries.
There's no pleasantries. This is where we are.
Like a dry pea.
But since we put out our Christmas Bulldog poll in 2017, people have been furiously debating.
Why do you refuse to call it the Christmas Film World Cup?
Because I don't like football. and it was a poll. So there you go. Anyway, people have been a little bit furious about the fact that Die Hard came out as number 1 on top of the Christmas poll. Well, the Christmas files are annoyed. All right, that's where we stand.
The Christmas files.
The Christmas files. The Christmas files. I'm not talking about a folder.
Is that like,
that you
is that
keep
like
all your
when
Christmas
is that like
photos
when
in.
Mulder and Scully get all festive?
Christmas file is the file. I'll tell you about the Christmas file.
Hit me.
Okay, here we go. Right, it's not just for Christmas. A file is somebody that's obsessed with something. A philia comes from the Greek.
It's a love. It's a love.
It's an attraction. It's an obsession, a passion. It's rubbing up against things in the dark. All of the things that get you electrified by some rare
sockets.
Or, yeah, that too. You can add it onto anything. It used to be a Latin word, but you can add it onto anything nowadays. For example, chocophile. Somebody's obsessed with chocolate.
Yes.
X-file file.
Very good. Very good.
Obsessed with the
I like your work.
And if you would like to know more about files or philia, you can go check out our article on files, which has recently been published. It's very interesting, and you can find out what are you ready? I'm going to try and pronounce a word now.
Just the one.
You can find out what a gynoticolobomastophile file is obsessed with.
Run that past me one more time.
I said a gynoticolobomastophile file.
Is that something to do? Well, gyno is women.
Yeah, and tick is like yes. Tick,
yeah, women. Yes.
Box.
Well, lobomas. Is that anything to do with overweight?
Read the article. You'll
overweight
find out.
female wolves.
You'll find out. Read the article.
Okay.
Moving on.
So, Christmas files. People who love all things Christmassy.
Yes.
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 Why are they so angry about Die Hard?
It's a film full of violence and retribution and people
like
falling off buildings.
Day.
AK-40s. Exactly. Yeah, doesn't it though? It sounds Christmassy, but there is a Christmas niche. There is a very specific Christmas romantic. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm going to say next. You know what I'm going to refer to. Love Actually.
Oh dear Lord.
Right, that's what people want for
Please,
Christmas.
baby Jesus, deliver us from Love Actually. Demonstrably one of the worst films ever made.
Baby Jesus ain't going to help you because the people love that
very
stuff.
Christmassy.
They love that stuff.
What stuff exactly? What stuff is it? What is it about Love Actually that people love?
The tinsel, the romance, the
romance,
the
romance,
the plummy.
Well,
British
maybe
accents.
you should read my article on Love Actually. There is no romance in Love Actually. Love Actually is full of horrible set piece cliches. I'm not even going to go into it. It's Richard Curtis reworking his own greatest hits. It's not a time. But please don't tell me that what you're going to tell me this evening is that Love Actually should be the film that we watch at Christmas.
No, exactly the opposite. We want to provide people with an opportunity to enjoy Christmas like they do the rest of the year, which is with no romance, potentially with dramatic kind of violent explosions and
unpredictability,
like Die Hard, basically.
Like
Die Hard.
Okay,
The
but
other
not
three-
Die Hard.
The other 364 days of the year, I think, are more akin to Die Hard than they are to Love Actually.
What is it that tonight, on this fair Christmas Eve, you're going to present to the Yuletide revelry.
This is turn to turn turn to turn turn to turn turn turn.
Are you trying to perform with the band next door?
Turn.
Dear listener, if you can hear, there's a very, very
alternative,
very substandard Spanish
Christmas alternative through the rock that is permeating the walls, and alternative because it's totally different to the that is generally broadcast.
Did you just swear?
You can beep it out. Beep. It's probably a little bit too late.
Right, so alternative options for your Christmas entertainment on the Wii screen is what you're going to give us.
Numero 1.
Hit me.
Krampus.
Is that what happens when you no?
If you don't stretch before you exercise, in Germany, no. Ho ho ho! Holy hell! It is the ultimate anti-Christmas flick. It's basically.
You're off to a flyer then, aren't you? Really?
Yes, absolutely. This is what this list is all about. It's based on the genuine Central European folklore of this demonic entities, half goat, half demon. So whereas Saint Nick's going around rewarding the good kids for being good, Krampus he preys on the naughty, and he comes.
Is this anything to do with the Dutch tradition of the black people with the poo in their hands?
No. You're thinking that's I can't remember the name of it, so we'll probably just edit this out.
Sorry, I just went off script, ladies and gentlemen. Did you see that?
No, but that has very recently been in the news because it
castigated for being politically incorrect.
It was an example of blackface, despite being a several 100-year-old tradition.
So tell me, what does this Krampus do to the bad kids?
Krampus, he turns up. If you've been a naughty kid, he creeps you. He looks like a goat demon. Number one, he's wrapped in chains, and he turns up at your gaff, at your casa, and if you're a naughty kid, he just flings some chains around you, throws you in a sack, and he drags you to hell.
It's a bit like a gnarly Marley then.
I don't do drugs, so I don't know what that is, but probably yes.
Well, it's like it's Marley from Scrooge, going out and being proactive.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, the incredible thing is
taking his chains and wrapping them around other people and saying, "Come on,
come
in. The water's lovely."
Like most festivals, horrific festivals that have some kind of horror involved in them, like Halloween.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the Festival, Leeds and Reading.
Yeah. Well, those two, those ones too.
That involve human excrement being thrown into the crowd.
Exactly that. Like that, and
without the Foo Fighters.
Without the Foo Fighters, it is a pagan festival. It goes back 1,000 or so years, and
crikey! So no jumpers involved then.
There aren't. They put a lot of effort into their costumes. They celebrate this in Germany, in Austria, in Central Europe. They carve these masks, these Krampus masks, out of wood, and they put all this hair. I don't think it's human hair. It might be human hair. Maybe it is. Maybe that's why I don't have as much as I used to. It might be Krampus.
You have more than last
harvesting.
time I saw you, to be fair.
Well, it grows, some of it. Anyway, they in this 2015 adaptation of this folklore.
I guess it's a film.
Yeah, it's a film based on a real life kind of tradition. There's no romance. There's no singing. There's no jumpers. It still teaches you a lesson, despite being totally anti-Christmas, despite having no kind of joviality or any of that kind of theme. It manages to teach you a lesson because the kid at the centre of this story, the protagonist, he falls out with his family, and they unleash this demonic rampage because they lack Christmas spirit. And it's a slasher film. It's an anti-Christmas slasher film. It's dark, and I think it's the ultimate antidote to having a belly full of pudding and turkey and all that stuff.
That is interesting, because you talk about the ultimate anti-Christmas slasher film with a belly full of pudding.
Yeah.
That does make me think of Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh my God, tell me more.
Silent Night, Deadly Night was extraordinarily controversial slasher film in the early 1984, I believe it came out.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
It was, as I understand it, in America, it spent a solitary week in cinemas before it was pulled, censored, because it was there was a great deal of concern from the conservative element of society that it would lead to people dressing up as Santa and killing all those people around them.
Yeah, copycat Santa killers.
It's a mental film. I mean, I'm not gonna dress it up. It's totally mental. It's in the 80s, but it has that 70s B movie vibe about it. All the blood's a little bit too bright. There is, plastic flesh being pierced by different parts of animal bodies during the course of the film. There's plenty of breast action and
nudity. You say?
Quite a lot of basically close-up soft porn kind of lingering shots. But the body count is impressive. If I remember rightly, the film is just over 90 minutes long and manages to get in an average kill rate of 1 death every 6.5 minutes.
Well,
it's basically a young lad coming back from an asylum, visiting his grandfather, and his grandfather, who has been catatonic for years, takes the opportunity to warn him that he has to be good because only good children are looked after by Santa.
Sounds traumatic.
And he says
sounds like that could turn a man to murder.
Well, that's exactly what happened. His family are flagged down by a Santa looking for help.
Well, obviously,
who then brutally murders his father and sexually assaults and murders his mother.
Wonderful.
And then we flash forward, and then their kids growing up in the hell of Catholic 1970s orphanages. And then it goes to when he's a ripping lad at the age of 18, 17. And one Christmas Eve, he just loses his moxie and proceeds to just, in invariable different ways, kill everybody in sight.
It reminds me of the wonderful, the spectacular Batman Returns.
Sorry, the wonderful, spectacular Batman Returns.
Yes, that was the part of the title that they actually decided in the last moments of production to remove. So it was just Batman Returns in the end.
This isn't the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger and no, that's it's the Michael Keaton one. Yes,
it's the
one with Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
This is Danny DeVito in his finest hour as the Penguin. Did you even know Danny DeVito didn't actually require any makeup,
prosthetics?
Those
are his actual hands.
He played himself. He wasn't even a character. They just filmed him. He turned up on stage.
He eats raw.
He was just eating raw fish. They just filmed him in his natural habitat, and that's just how he is. People don't. The strange thing is, the unreal Danny DeVito is the Danny DeVito that we think we know. The real version of him is the Penguin.
Inky blue green bile seeps out of his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, he's a strange man. Meanwhile, Michael Keaton, I think, possibly one of the best Batmans around. I'm going to throw this down, right? I think
I think you're probably
he was
right.
Batman before Batman and Bond became about being shredded and ripped. You know, he was Batman simply by virtue of not shaving.
Well, he was Batman. He was basically Beetlejuice cleaned up, wasn't he? That's what he was. Never been a massive fan of Michael Keaton, I have to say, but I liked his Batman interpretation.
Well, come on.
He definitely takes. I mean, in the first film, he definitely takes a backseat to Jack Nicholson. I mean, the Joker is supposed to be larger than life anyway. In the second film, you come away. Look at Distant Memories. You think of Danny DeVito. You think of Michelle Pfeiffer in PVC.
Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. You see every curve of her feline form, and it is
feline.
Wonderful.
Yes.
It is perfect.
Very good. Well done.
You know,
well done.
the film has everything. There's weird gestures and jesters. There's jesters gesturing.
I thought you were seeking for the word clown, but okay.
No, these are those weird they're like court gestures, firing grenade launchers into crowded squares. Just there's a lot to relate to there. Moving on.
Well, talking of scary-looking beasts in the night, obviously, I personally, I feel one of my all-time favourite Christmas films, and you can say alternative or not or otherwise, is Gremlins.
Gremlins. Oh yeah.
It's not just set at Christmas. It is a literally a subtly hidden damnation of consumerism. There's the man who can't afford anything but will stop at nothing to get the ultimate gift for his boy, and the ultimate gift turns out to provide carnage.
Yeah.
And I have never been able to listen to the song "Do You Hear What I Hear" in the same way ever again.
Caucasian dad goes to Chinese dad, and he says, I'm going to
appropriate your culture.
I don't have any decent gifts for my Caucasian kid. And Chinese dad is like, I
haven't even got any money, but I can offer you this smokeless ashtray.
He trades him. He's totally.
Does he trade or does he steal? I think he steals the Mogwai, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't steal the Mogwai, but he does enforce his terrible invention upon this unknowing Chinese dad.
What's that? Soundproof walls against bass.
Yeah. So anyway, the 90s band Mogwai took their name from Mogwai of the Gremlins.
I just thought they couldn't spell Mowgli from the Jungle Book.
You would think that. Anyway, Gremlins. Moving on with Gremlins. This chap, he has his little furry.
Do you really think there's anybody listening to us right now who's not seeing Gremlins? I mean, basically, I think Gremlins is effectively a bit like Batman Returns. We should just say, do you know what? Just watch Gremlins.
Just watch Gremlins.
Just rewatch Gremlins. I mean, if you...
It's about giving and receiving terrible presents.
At its core, and it's got Corey Feldman in it as well,
And it's got Corey Feldman in it, like every Christmas.
And they so nearly avert disaster. And it's that moment where the little gremlin gets into the swimming pool, and they were so close to stopping him as well. It's got amazing scenes in it. We all know the scenes. The woman on the Stanley lift being shot out the top window. One of my personal favorites is the mum fighting off the gremlins, putting one of them in the blender, all to the tune of "Do You Hear What I Hear?"
Wonderful prosthetics, amazing animatronics.
There is the astonishing. It passed me by for the first decade of watching this film, but I fell in love with the soliloquy of the girlfriend as she talks about her dad breaking his neck and dying in the chimney and starting to smell the place out.
A truly harrowing backstory that doesn't really... It's
doesn't
kind
really
of
add or take it. It's just a great scene.
It's just dropped in there. and then they I think in the next scene they're just drinking eggnog, and it's like
it's just
nothing ever happened.
It's tonally deaf. It's tin ear TV.
Here's a horror story. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Move on.
Meanwhile, back to the silly animatronic creatures. And of course, never forget, it does open with one of the greatest Christmas tunes of all time. I am, of course, referring to Darlene Love's Christmas, Baby Please Come Home, from the epically good Phil Spector Christmas album. That also includes her rendition of Bing Crosby's tune White Christmas, which is perfect for Christmas, really.
Well,
of Christmas and alternative Christmas.
Speaking of white Christmases, brings us nicely onto The Woman in Black.
Oh, I see what we did there.
Which is most people are probably familiar with the Harry Potter remake with what's his face from Harry Potter. Totally annihilated a classic. If you're going to watch this, you have to seek out the BBC original. It was a made-for-TV film
Yes, it
It
was.
was originally, it was supposed to be a TV series, but it was made into a film, and it is a masterclass in horror, genuine horror.
It's
This is-
Hitchcockian, isn't it?
I'd go further than that. I go further into the past. I reach it as a macabre, Poe-esque horror story. It's got this
The Raven, the Raven, Raven.
this quality that just does not exist in modern cinema. It gets under your skin. I know that's an overused phrase, but it genuinely finds ways of affecting you that are beyond camera angle and jump scares like Hollywood is so fond of nowadays.
Yeah, this is really important, Ben. I'm
it's
loving your passion
psychological.
here, because actually, I say the recent remake with Daniel Radcliffe, avoid at all costs. This is not the same film. We are talking, I think it's a 70s production or an 80s production at BBC.
Yeah.
It holds a special place of affection in my heart, because it represents for me the time that I moved from childhood to adolescence, in the sense that...
You mean the first time you soiled yourself whilst watching a film?
No. It was the time I discovered what the adult routine was on Christmas Eve, when all the kids were packed off to bed to wait for the sound of tiny hooves clip-clopping on the roof. What my mum and dad used to do was, after they'd finished up or wrapping up all the presents on behalf of Santa, obviously because parents are contracted out to do the work, because Santa can't possibly get around all the houses. He goes to the important people like Theresa May and Donald Juncker.
Exactly.
He hasn't got time for us plebs.
Hashtag Brexit.
Hashtag Brexit, yeah. Hashtag not in my name. And what my parents used to do was to sit and wrap up or sort out presents, or contractually eat mince pies in front of a scary movie. And my mum's favourite scary movie for Christmas Eve was always The Woman in Black. And the first year I was allowed to stay up was because my dad said to my mum, "Look, The Woman in Black's on TV." And so I stayed up to watch it, and I didn't get a wink of sleep that night.
Starts on Christmas Eve, ends in the cold earth. It's also the longest running stage show in history. There's a theatre, a stage adaptation that's been running for over 30 years in the Royal Opera House, London, and I went to see it when I was a kid, and oh my God, if anyone has the opportunity, if you visit London, if you're in London, if you're near London, take a couple of hours out of your life to go and see that show, because, well, it will change you. Things will never be
the same again.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Not only is it extraordinary in the sense that it's terrifying, but they also make use of the entire theatre. Yep. And I don't want to say more than that.
No, I get you.
But the stage.
But let's just say you're never going to be able to sit in pantomime comfortably ever again.
No, you are not safe in the audience. No. It's a 4-dimensional performance, and it really is something.
But not being safe in the audience is something that applied to another of our list of alternative Christmas films when it was first made, during the culminating peak of the Cold War, when disaster could strike, nuclear horror could strike at any time. There was only one man that could save us, and I'm not talking about Ronald Reagan. I'm not talking about Mikhail Gorbachev. Yeah, Morse obviously was going to save us. And a totally unexpected entry into the list is Rocky IV.
Oh, yes.
Rocky IV. Now, I do have a little bit of a problem with this. Now, Rocky IV does qualify as an alternative Christmas film, because the big culminating fight does happen on Christmas Eve.
And I'm pretty sure that he gives his son a robot for Christmas. I remember that.
In one of the most pointless subplot nonsense. Yeah, but he just ends up
his
with
disenfranchised son.
Yeah, but the robot ends up basically being
his enemy in the next film. He has to fight him on the
no,
moon.
that's like the robot becomes like a proto porn bot for his brother-in-law. It's basically
his
wife.
weird faux mafioso brother-in-law.
He's just a drunk. He's not a man. He's just a drunk. He's just a drunk. But you see, he actually falls in love with the robot who can cook and clean, but can't give him other pleasures.
Classic.
It's
with Rocky 4 also
totally
comes in
man.
at 91 minutes as the shortest Rocky film of the franchise that I think is continuing now. There's recently been an Apollo.
Well, there's a remake.
Remake, yeah.
Well, not really.
So it goes on.
The
legend
there's
goes
basically
on.
been a reboot where Rocky is now training the son of Apollo Creed, who was his nemesis in the early Rocky films. And
well, lest we forget.
No, we're going to cut all of that.
Why?
We're going to cut all of that. No. But all that is being cut because that is all hideous spoilers.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to cut. Just going to cut to me saying no, Ben, you can't say that because there are some people, including my wife, who hasn't reached the heights of Rocky.
Well,
4
anyone
yet.
that didn't hear what I just said needs to go and watch that film.
But yeah,
wonderful stuff. So what you're saying is that Rocky 4 should be enjoyed with a bottle of vodka and
responsibly.
Responsibly. Don't drink if you're driving a pregnant woman to a heavy machinery operating.
I think
zone.
you've covered all bases there adequately. Rocky 4 is the one. Hearts on fire, strong desire.
Who sang that?
Which was interestingly supposed to be the song for Rocky 3, but the producers, including Sylvester Stallone, preferred "Eye of the Tiger." So they bumped it.
Yes, I heard that
they
they
bumped it
changed their minds
Yeah.
when they visited Ireland, which brings us nicely to our next film, which is in Bruges.
Because Bruges is in Ireland. Yes.
No, it's not. But the one of the lead protagonists.
Oh well, they're both from Ireland, aren't
Colin
they?
Farrell.
And the other one, Brendan Gleeson. They're both from Ireland.
Gleeson.
They're both from Ireland, aren't
Has
they?
an Irish accent. I just
just alienating
they are. Well,
listeners.
Brendan Gleeson's from Dublin. Brendan Gleeson. I have to say, he meant something to me because I didn't realise that he was Irish.
Sometimes he reminds you of your da.
I first saw him in 28 Days Later, where he plays a London cabbie.
Outstanding.
But he has a London cabbie accent.
So yeah, he's in Bruges.
He is in
and
that
he
film.
basically
Well,
he
nicely.
basically
What a wonderful loop.
he steals
Seamless.
the show from Colin
I don't think he does.
McFarlane.
I don't think he does. I think that this film is actually full of really powerful actors. You've got Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson. You've got Ralph Fiennes as the head boss, the head honcho, and it's just they all project their characters
But of
so
course,
well.
as all the critics are wont to say, the real star of the show is Bruges itself.
I'd say that's a fair enough comment.
But
which
they
is
are
an
the-
in-joke.
yeah.
You know, it's they go to Bruges, and it's all about the fact that they're kind of trapped in Bruges. They've gone on holiday by mistake.
Trapped in a shortbread tin, basically.
They're having a terrible time, even though they're supposed to be having a wonderful time. And,
well, they're not supposed to. Is it? If I remember rightly, isn't it? Brendan Gleeson's character is taking Colin Farrell away because he's.
Spoilers.
Well, it's not a spoiler. That's why they're there.
If I can't say the things that I said, that I gone said about Rocky 4.
So hang on. As I remember rightly, that piece of information that I just gave is revealed quite early in the film. Is that not the case?
Well, maybe it is.
That's why they're there.
That's why they're there.
I mean,
yeah.
obviously, the fact we have is not.
Nah,
I'm not allowed to say
spoiler.
that.
Ah, Jesus.
I'll have to edit that bit out.
Won't be able to talk about that now.
Why?
So anyway,
how close is it set to Christmas? Is it?
it's on Christmas time.
It's on Christmas
In and around that, I mean, they're there.
It's full of
And
dwarves.
I think Bruges is like permanently Christmas anyway. If you go there, it's just Christmas time.
It has to be said. Belgium holds very little that would turn the eye in terms of where should I holiday this year. You don't go, well, Belgium. It's an automatic choice. But I'm sure me, like many other people, after watching In Bruges, went, I need to go there. I need to go there. That's just Snow White meets Beauty and the Beast.
It's like being in
tin.
a cake.
Exactly.
Which brings us nicely to our honorary
mention. Our honorary mention.
Happy, a Netflix-based TV series. It's not a film, but it's worth mentioning, and it's totally worth a binge over Christmas. It is 100% a Christmas-themed TV series. It's about
a Christmas theme.
It's
set around Christmas.
It's set around Christmas, and one of the antagonists is Santa. So, it's pretty Christmassy.
Okay.
So
I'll give you that.
It's about an estranged father, ex-cop, alcoholic.
We've all heard this story before.
He is the ultimate.
Who's his sidekick, Ben?
His sidekick just so happens to be his daughter's imaginary unicorn.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not something you can sell very easily. It sounds terrible.
It's basically it's like a gritty Serpico meets I don't know, a Don Bluth cartoon. It's bizarre. Well worth the watch.
Definitely worth it. Binge that over. It's a one season.
I did it in two
TV
nights.
Series.
I did it in 2 nights. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember how many episodes there are. I think it's about 10.
There were slightly too many for one night.
Yeah.
When you got work in the
morning.
But
it is worth it. It's totally worth it. Really, really good action. Very, very well shaped characters, purely driven by the acting. Chris Maloney in that central character. He absolutely embodies that. It's like it reminds me of a Bukowski detective come to life. This gritty, dirty, alcoholic loser that somehow bumbles his way through these extraordinary situations and comes out on top, despite the fact that it's quite similar to Johnny Depp's
turn of phrase, really, to come out on top, considering what happens.
There is an episode where that is relevant. Like Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow.
Don't.
I know. But there's this moment.
You've mentioned Love Actually in Jack Sparrow.
This moment in one of the I can't remember, one of the Pirate of the Caribbean 3D 0.70, whatever it is. One of the films, somebody makes a comment about he's just flying around in the rafters, kind of doing all this drunken, and somebody says, "How does he do it?" And they're like, "I don't know. It must be the rum or something." And I just remember that line because number one, it was really poorly written.
You know,
and number two, it was kind of an expose of the fragility of the whole. Character.
I was annoyed from the opening film, when everyone was sitting there waxing lyrical about this great performance by Johnny Depp and going, "Look at this character, it's so larger than life. It's such a demonstration of what could be done when an actor is allowed to do what he wants to really do." No, it's a demonstration of fact that a director hasn't got the balls to tell a guy, "Wind your neck in." Wind your neck in. Stop it. Stop. Just no. Now that director of that film was just a helmsman. He was being told which way to push the tiller. But that is another story. Will you stop with your bass line? Honestly. All that remains to say is we wish you a very, very happy Christmas and a most delightfully pleasant and peaceful and restive New Year. Until next time.
Yuletide greetings.
We will return, like James Bond, but we won't be black.
Batman.